Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to our webinar tonight. Uh, Today, we are mainly focusing on scholarship applications. So, us as ARSPN, we will be having webinars this week on optimizing our scholarship application procedures for optimizing our chances for getting selected for the scholarships that we apply, and also to gain knowledge on how to navigate through, so that in the any scholarship we make, we'll be knowing how to go about it, and it's not something new. So I would like to introduce our speaker tonight. He's Mr. Chukwunago Uchendu. Pardon my pronunciation. I'm not from West Africa. I'm a Kenyan. Yeah. So he is a cross-sectional radiographer who started his radiography education at University of Nigeria. He graduated with first class honors and was best graduating student in the class of 2019. After his graduation, he gained experience working in various hospitals, including Niger Foundation Hospital, Memphis Hospital Enugu, University of Benin Teaching Hospital, and Duchess International Hospital. He received an international scholarship in 2022 to study a master's in medical imaging with management at Bournemouth University in the UK. So today he's mainly going to be talking about Commonwealth scholarship, because that is what he was prestigious to get. Yes. So he has completed his studies with distinction and currently works as a radiographer in the United Kingdom. He has a keen interest in how technological advancements impact various facets of medical imaging practice, and he's committed to strategic career development. So let us welcome Mr. Uchendu for his presentation. Yeah, and I believe whatever he presents tonight will be vital in our applications. Yeah, so Mr. Uchendu, you're welcome.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, thank
Mr. Uchendu, we can hear you.
Thank you. I came in earlier to try to do some quality assurance on my device, and also to make sure that everything is okay from my side. But I'm very sorry that I didn't start when you said that I can speak. So yes, thank you so much, Sandra Afwande, for the introduction. Can you hear me all right? Can everyone hear me all right? We can use the chats to indicate. Can hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Thank you. It's looking as if my voice is cracking from my end. Sorry, I'm using my laptop. So yes, thank you very much. So I'm Chukwuanugo Uchendu. Chukwuanugo Comrade Uchendu. Chukwuanugo is my first name, Comrade my middle name, and then Uchendu is my last name. So like Sandra said, I'm a medical radiographer. I'm a medical radiographer. I was one of the awardees in 2022. I studied MSc medical imaging and with management at Bournemouth University. Yes, so everything she said in the introduction is correct. And that's me. So today, I'm happy to be talking about Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, because that was the award I got in 2022. I'm very sorry, my screen is, I'm not appreciating the quality. Let me see if I can use my phone, but I was hoping to use the screen because it makes me more visible, but it's not giving what I wanted to. Recording in progress. Yeah. Um, I'll- please just give me like 5 minutes. Let me sort this out.
Let's give Mr. Uchendu some time to. In the meanwhile, we can introduce ourselves in the group chat. Tell us where you're listening from. Yes.
But you know what? Don't worry. Let's just crack on. The video quality is not so amazing. But can you see me? Can you hear me? I think if you can see me and hear me, I'm okay with that. So I would like to get, can you all hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we
Thank you.
can hear,
Thank you.
can
So I'd
hear
like
you,
to
sir.
get a sense of the people I have in the audience. So it will help me tailor the discussion. I know that the aim of this webinar today is to look at opportunities for medical imaging graduates and undergraduates as well. Although I know others are free to join once you've registered with the link. But I would like to have a sense of the people I'm speaking to today, the people I have in the audience. So it helps me direct the discussion this evening. So this evening, we'll be talking about Commonwealth Share Scholarship in details. I try to make my slide very simple and in-depth as well. So I'll be sharing it in a second, but if you are happy to type in the comment section to tell me, so if you're a graduate of medical imaging, whether you're a sonographer, whether you're a general radiographer, whether you are doing everything, just tell me I'm a graduate radiographer. This is my name and I'm a graduate radiographer. If you're a student, just tell me, okay, I'm a 200 level student from University of Cape Coast, Ghana. If you're from any university in Nigeria, just tell me I'm in this level. My name is this level, and I'm from this university. Okay, so it will help us with this discussion this evening. So yes, so this evening we'll be talking about Commonwealth Share Scholarship in great detail, and we'll also be looking at. We'll be making jokes, we'll be making analogies where necessary. We'll try to make it as engaging as possible, all right? We'll try to make it as engaging as possible. So I'll be sharing my screen so we can get right into the discussion for today. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes,
we can
we
hear you.
can.
Yes, Sandra, so Sandra, you help me with, I don't know, I can't see the chat again very well since I shared the screen, but as people drop, just take note of people dropping their, making making the introduction just to have a sense of the people we have in the meeting, right? So just like I said, we'll be talking about Commonwealth Share Scholarship. And this is my name. I graduated from UNN in 2019. And since then, I've been working. I've been working in different hospitals. Yeah. So today we'll have these objectives. So I don't usually talk a lot, but sometimes I tend to talk too much. So I decided to create this outline to help us, to guide us through the discussion so we don't derail and waste time. All right. Like I mentioned, we'll be talking about this scholarship in great detail. I'll be revealing some things I'm opportune to know. I'll be revealing some things I'm opportune to know because I had the opportunity of being a Commonwealth shared scholar. All right. So we'll be talking about Commonwealth scholarships in general. Then we'll be focusing on Commonwealth shared scholarship. We'll look at the eligibility criteria and the required documents, the application process, course selection, how do you prepare, and then some of the benefits of the award. All right. Then, of course, if you have any questions, you're free to ask at the end of the session or at any point. At any point, you're free to raise your hand and then ask any question. I have a very good moderator. I hope I'm confident she will do a nice job. All right. So what are Commonwealth scholarships? Because there are a lot of them. What are Commonwealth scholarships? So Commonwealth scholarships they are basically initiatives of the UK government. Can you still hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. We
Please,
can hear you.
once you stop hearing me, Sandra, just give me a
Yes, please, we
nudge.
can hear you.
All right? Just give me a nudge. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me quickly check the chat and see how the introduction. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. So we'll have lots of graduate radiographers. We'll have undergraduate radiographers as well. So that's good. That's a perfect mix. So yeah, so the Commonwealth Scholarship. Yeah, so the Commonwealth Scholarship is an initiative of the UK government. The aim of the scholarship is just to assist developing nations, all right, to contribute to the development needs. So the development needs of these developing nations are identified, all right? So, and then the UK government tries to assist these developing nations by building, when they've identified these development needs. So they try to build capacity through education and different training opportunities. So they provide these training opportunities for skilled and qualified professionals, all right? So for you to get a Commonwealth scholarship, you need to be skilled and you need to be a qualified professional. So I'm laying this foundation so that as we go through the discussion, you understand why we mention some of the things we will mention in the discussion, all right? So you have to be skilled and you have to be a qualified professional to be eligible for a Commonwealth scholarship, all right? Then you wouldn't have the ability to afford a UK education. You know, these are some of the criteria, all right? So this, Scott, I'm not saying you have to be poor, yeah, but you don't have the means of attaining a UK education, which is expensive, all right? Education abroad, education in Europe, some of the European countries are quite expensive. So you wouldn't have that opportunity if you were to do it alone, if you were to do it self-sponsored, all right? So there are different scholarship initiatives. There are different initiatives that are provided by this Commonwealth Scholarship Board, all right? So one is the distant learning. I also try to quickly describe them so you understand that, because all of these are opportunities worthy of exploration, all right? So we have the distant learning. The distant learning Commonwealth Scholarship is a scholarship that you can get while you're in your home country. Then you study, you do your master's virtually. It can be it's an online program. You do it, let's say a year, and then you do your dissertation, everything online. You attend lectures online, you do everything online, and then at the end of the day, you get a master's, you get an MSc certificate that is valid, very valid, just like someone that went to a traditional university. So you do everything from the comfort of your home. And there are also benefits as well. It's a fully funded scholarship. They pay for everything. They pay for your school fees. Of course, I think they also give you some money every month because you need to buy that data to engage with your studies. If you have any research, you need some money to fund them. So these are some of the benefits of the distant learning scholarship. So actually, the person who told me about Commonwealth scholarship got the distant learning scholarship. He did his MSc with the distant learning scholarship. All right. So that was what he did. So we'll have the Commonwealth Masters. So the Commonwealth Masters Scholarship is another type of scholarship. I often get this question, oh, when Commonwealth Masters application starts, people will be like, Commonwealth has started, but I'm doing the Commonwealth Masters. I'll say, oh, I got the Commonwealth shared, not the Commonwealth Masters. And there are two different types of scholarship. So for the Commonwealth Masters, every country in these 44 member Commonwealth countries, they have nominating agencies, they have national agencies that nominate students who are skilled and qualified. Follow the discussion, skilled and qualified professionals. So they nominate them, and then when they nominate them, Commonwealth will now fund their master's program. So that's Commonwealth Masters. So you have to be skilled, you have to be qualified, and you have to apply for this agency to nominate you. So you can become part of you can be awarded the scholarship. So the next is the Commonwealth Shared. So the Commonwealth Shared is where Commonwealth and the university shares the burden of funding your master's program. So they share the burden of funding your master's program. So we'll have another one is the Commonwealth PhD opportunity as well. They have the Commonwealth Shared PhD, the same thing like the Commonwealth Shared Masters. But this time, the Commonwealth body and then the university shares the cost as well. So we'll discuss those ones in details. Then we'll have different fellowships. We even have a PhD scholarship opportunity where you're given this opportunity of coming to the UK, any UK university of choice when you are awarded the scholarship to study for a year, to do a research for a year. So just to broaden your horizon, broaden your experience, give you a new exposure so that if you conduct this research in an environment where you have significant amount of resources to achieve enormous results, all right? So these are some of the opportunities. So then the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, I've already mentioned this, but I would like to talk about them in details, all right? So there are 44 member countries. They are basically citizens of those countries are eligible for this Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. So it is for high quality postgraduate students from low and medium income countries. And it is a fully funded scholarship that is provided by the Commonwealth Commission, right? And participating universities. So they share the responsibility. That is why it is called a Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. They share the responsibility. So the Commonwealth Commission provides the tuition, and also they also pay some allowances, like your travel allowances. There are also some allowances they pay you while you're on the program. All right. Then the university will agree. The university will agree to cover the living costs, your living costs during the program. So like I said, it's a fully funded program. It's a full ride. They pay for everything from your flight to everything. They just bring you to the UK. You're just meant to study during the period. Just go to classes, do your research, just have a good time, do your work, and then, I mean, at the end of the year, you have equal rights like a normal student that paid out of pocket, fully funded, everything is covered, all right? So for Commonwealth Shared, it's important you pay attention because all these things help you when you're making choices as regards your application, all right? So the universities make the initial selection, and then CSC will now give the final approval, then provide the funding, all right? They are part of the funding. So when you get the scholarship finally and come to the UK, the university, through their bursary, will now be paying you your stipends monthly, right? Your stipend monthly. And yeah, the money is significant. You can use it to find an apartment, you can use it to take care of yourself, and you can use it to, live a normal life. So that is how the selection works. So the university will make the initial selection. Then once the university selects you, there's high chances that once the university selects you, the next stage will be for Commonwealth to say, okay, the university is happy with your application. We need you to provide references of the names you provided initially during your application. So you're meant to provide references from those people you entered during your application, all right? Then your study duration is usually 12 months, all right? Just like in school, there's possibility that you fail exams, all right? There's possibility that you fail exams. So in this case, as a Commonwealth scholar, you're not expected to fail any exams. So during the program, you have to be fully there. You have to be fully involved, all right? You have to be fully involved. And as we go into the discussion, you understand why it is important you're fully involved, all right? So yes, it's usually 12 months and it's expected to be 12 months. Any other thing aside that, let's say you had a carryover, for example, you have to be the one to cover the cost if your university allows that, all right? You have to be the one to cover the cost. And you're staying in the UK, the way the UK is structured, actually, you can't even manage to have an extra year because it becomes a problem. You can't get a visa. You need a visa to stay in the country. You need a visa to be on a program. So it's difficult. So when you get the program, it's usually 12 months. If it's more than 12 months, it's usually arranged and discussed before you start your program, all right? Are we still following up until this point? Are we following?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, so then it's important to look at, I mentioned that the Commonwealth Commission, the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission, that's CSC. So they've identified development needs in most of these developing nations. The idea really is to build capacity, is to train people, is to improve the standard of living or the way of doing things, to improve the standard of life in those developing nations. So that is why it is focused. It's only students who are from these Commonwealth nations and are even residents in these Commonwealth nations that are qualified for this scholarship. All right. So some of the development teams that they've identified, broad teams they've identified, are some of the places where these countries are lacking. All right. So that is why I included this slide. It's very important because if you have an understanding, if you understand something from first principle, if you understand the reason why they are doing, if you understand the reason for doing something, I believe it's easier to apply your knowledge or apply your efforts in the right direction, in the right places, all right? So one is science and technology for development. So of course, through science and technology, we can develop these nations, all right? Develop the way things are done, develop the way maybe people are transported, develop the way maybe houses are built, developed a lot of things through science and technology. as imaging scientists, through science and technology, using AI, using machine learning, we can improve the way images are processed, all right? We can improve the way images are transferred. We can improve a lot of things about our work. We can improve the way we work. The machines we use today, they are all designed by people, all right? And it's through the evidence we get from science that they're able to do that, all right? People sit down and do a lot of research, and then they come out with solutions that solve real life problems. So through science and technology, we can begin to solve real life problems that exist in these developing nations, all right? So the next one is the health systems, strengthening health systems and capacity, all right? One of the challenges we have in these developing nations is access to healthcare. You know, in most countries, I did a research during my studies, and we found out that there are some African countries that don't even have an MRI scanner, all right? There are some African countries that don't even have an MRI scanner. While there are some African countries that if you count all the number of scanners they have, it's not up to the number of scanners they have in a city in maybe the UK, for example. So they are thinking about how do we strengthen health systems and build capacity within the health field, all right? So I think most of the programs related to medical imaging, they fall under strengthening health system and capacity. We have crisis, strengthening just trying to manage my screen. Strengthening resilience and response to crisis. So a lot of programs, a lot of programs, when you go through the CSC website, you see a lot of these programs. Innovation, all right? Promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. How exchange, I'm just trying to emphasize this so that you understand that these development needs are important. They are important for you to even win the scholarship, all right? You as an individual, I'll still come to that, need to identify a development need that will now guide you in structuring your essay, in reasoning, logical thinking regarding the development essays you're meant to write to clinch any of these Commonwealth scholarships, all right? So global peace, strengthening global peace, security, and governance, access, inclusion, and opportunity, all right? So there are different programs in world-class universities, all right, that can help you build capacity on any of these fields, all right? So these are the opportunities the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship provides, all right? So what are the eligibility criteria? Who is eligible for a Commonwealth Shared Scholarship? Remember when we started this discussion, I've mentioned that one, you need to be skilled, all right? You need to be educated, you need to be a professional before you can win, before you can clinch a Commonwealth scholarship. So in addition, there are also some other criteria that you must meet. So this criteria, I got them from the Commonwealth website. So I needed to be exact so that there's no misinformation at all. So one is the residency status. Like I mentioned, you need to be a citizen of or an individual granted refugee status by an eligible Commonwealth country. I think there are about 54 or 56 Commonwealth nations, but not all of them are eligible for this scholarship. 44 of them are eligible, and you can find them on the Commonwealth Shared website. But I think most of the African countries that are members of the Commonwealth nations are eligible, all right? Because in Africa, we have lots of development needs. So then you need to also be permanently resident in a Commonwealth country, all right? So these are some of the criteria. Then education, you need to hold a first degree or at least an upper second class or a second class lower, sorry, an upper second class. So if you have a second class lower, you need to have a relevant postgraduate qualification, which is usually a master's. So it's possible you've done master's in another field, then you're not applying for master's abroad, all right? So you're applying for a master's abroad. So maybe you had a 2-2, and then you've done a master's, and then you can now apply for the Commonwealth scholarships. You stand a chance. I mean, you mustn't have a first class. This criteria states it clearly. You mustn't have a first class. So there's a misconception that the scholarship is meant for only people with first class. There are many people with first class that have not been able to clinch any of this Commonwealth scholarship. So if you have any question at any point, if you want me to stop at any point, just raise your hand, and then Sandra can help notify me. Just give me a nudge, then I'll pause a bit. I think I've been talking too much for quite a time. Hope I'm still making sense. Hope you're still following. Then for your education as well, you need to provide all supporting documents. You need to provide all supporting documents. So you need to be able to provide all supporting documents during your application. You need to be able to provide all of them, all right? So you need to have them handy or have them ready or be expecting them at least. Then what are the other criteria that you need to meet? So you need to be available to start your academic studies in the UK by the start of the academic year. So if you're applying for 2025-2026, so it's expected that you should be available to start your studies by the start of the academic year. So different universities have different start of academic year. For some people, they start September, some November, some December, some anytime. And sometimes, due to 1 or 2 engagements, you might not be able to start when you're meant to start. Then you can have an arrangement, a separate arrangement with the university, with your course administrator to come at a later time, all right? But you need to be available to start so you don't win the scholarship and change your mind and say you're not going, all right? There are processes anyways when you win the scholarship and you want to change your mind. There are processes you follow so that they can give the opportunity to another person, okay? So you must not have studied or worked for up to a year or more in the UK. Sorry, I didn't complete this, but you're in a developed nation, not just the UK. So you must not have studied or worked for up to a year or more in the UK. Yes, Danny, you can ask your question. I can see your hand. Danny King. Danny King, do you have a question or should I carry on? Hello? Sandra, are you there?
All right, thank you, sir. Good evening, sir. Right, my name is
Yes, who is
Hello?
asking? Sorry.
Anyone, the person who has a question, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Sorry? Sandra, are you there? Are you there? I can't hear you.
I'm suggesting, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm suggesting we take the questions at the end of your presentation.
Okay, that's great. That's great. That's great. That's
Okay.
great. So we'll carry on. We'll carry on. So Danny King, you can keep your questions for at the end of the session. So I'll be more than happy to answer them. All right. So then you're unable to study in the UK if not for the scholarship. Remember, I mentioned this earlier that the scholarship is meant for professionals who cannot afford to study in the UK if not for a scholarship. All right. So if not for a scholarship. So that's one of the criteria. So then, remember I mentioned that there are important documents you must have handy before you be able to apply for the scholarship. Before you be able to apply for the scholarship. So one of them is your passport. And I've also tried to explain the reason why you need these things, all right? Because I'm a student, you're a student. You or some of you were once a student. So students always have this idea of not taking responsibilities and then not understanding why certain things are done. So, but one thing I've tried to do is before I do anything, I try to understand why something is done. Why is it important? So if you try to tackle every issue that comes to you by understanding why is it like this? Why am I doing this way? It makes more sense. For example, why do I need to submit my international passport? It's very, very important. We need a means of identification. We need to know who you are. So you see some people trying to skip the process, trying to make some trying to boycott the whole system. I don't think is necessary. So if you want to, I'll still come to the tips of applying. Tips you need to know why you want to, if you want to apply for this scholarship. So you need to get all these things ready. You need to prepare. It's a long-term game. You need to prepare. You need to have your international passport ready. It's expensive, but you need to have them. So you need to have your certificate. If you're a graduate, you need to have your certificate ready. If you're a student hoping to apply, you need to make sure that your certificate will be ready by the time you will be starting your program. All right, if that makes sense. Then English qualification. So they always request this for some countries. I know it's not every country that require English qualification, but yeah, I'm from Nigeria. They ask us for English qualification. Not all the time. I know some people they'll be like, is it possible to do it without English qualification? My studies were done in English and I can get a certificate. I can get a document saying, oh, my studies were done in English, and they are happy for you to attend to me because I have a sound knowledge of English. Yeah, while that is correct, while that is okay, I still think part of the preparation process for this scholarship application, not just the Commonwealth application, all of them generally, is if you can get an English qualification, just get it, all right? It's better you have it than they ask for it and you don't have it. For example, during my own time, I started the application without my English qualification, all right? I submitted the application already, but at some point when I was seeing some light, I was seeing, it was looking as if there was light at the end of the tunnel. I was seeing hope that I might get the scholarship. I had to quickly register for an IELTS, and I had to use 1 month to prepare. And by God's grace, I was able to pass the IELTS and I submitted it. And I've used the IELTS for a lot of other purposes, other applications. So you can use it for a lot of things. So I've used it and it was better I had it than I was like, I wish I had my IELTS. So I had it and I could easily submit it. So that's it. So you need to have it. So it's an evidence that you can communicate effectively and you can also cope with your study requirements while studying in the UK. Is a very good evidence, all right? Then you need to get your transcripts ready. So it's an evidence of your previous academic performance, right? So the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship is quite a competitive one. So you need an evidence of your previous academic performance, all right? You need to have them ready. Then I also included other things you need to get ready, which they are not necessarily documents, but they are items that are very important, pertinent to your application if you intend to apply for a Commonwealth Share Scholarship tomorrow. So you need a working email, an email you always check, right? Because during this application process, trust me, you're always checking your email. You're always checking your email. I think even the award message, the main award message goes to spam for every candidate. All right. It goes to your spam, this thing. So you're always checking your email, you're checking your spam, you're checking everything. You're checking it constantly so that you don't miss any information. There have been cases of people that got congratulatory messages and they didn't resume because they didn't get, they missed on the deadline of submitting their references because they didn't get the email on time. All right. So this can be one of the challenges. So you need a working email. So if you don't have one, you need to create one, and you need to create that habit. Maybe after you say your prayer in the morning, you go through your email, go through the spam, go through everything. All right. So another thing is if you have research papers that you've co-authored or you are the lead author, you're the first author, you need to bring them. So I don't mean research that you've not published. I mean published articles that have DOI or that have a URL that we can log into the internet and we'll be able to access it and say, oh, this was done by this guy and this guy. All right. So you need to provide it, because I've had an experience where I was guiding a student and she just included her final year thesis. All right. Her final year project. All right. Which is good, but she has not published it. So it's not an evidence, because everything you will be providing during this application process needs to be verifiable. It needs to be verifiable. We need to be able to, they need to be able to verify it and be like, oh, this guy did this and did that. And this is the evidence. Nice. All right. And then they move on to the other document, because they will scrutinize everything. When you submit, the university will take time to read everything, and then the best candidates or the best candidates will be selected. All right. Then you need to write a statement of purpose. You need to prepare a statement of purpose, or which in some institution they call a personal statement. So personal statement is basically a document where you narrate, you talk about yourself, you talk about your journey, you talk about what you've done, and you talk about your motivation for applying for the scholarship, your motivation for doing that application. All right. So these are some of the very relevant cases, very relevant facts you need to provide in your personal statement. All right. Then you need to also write some development essays, which are part of the Commonwealth application process. So you will get the essays, they will ask you, okay, how do you want us to measure progress? How do you want us to measure the impact of your studies, the impact of your training in a year or in 5 years? What are your long-term career plans? What are your short-term career plans? So you have to briefly, it's not a long essay. Like say some of them are 250 words, some of them are 500 words. You have to briefly describe your career goals, all right? Briefly describe them, and then these are the very important aspects of the application, all right? Because it will be read. All these points will be read, and then the most interesting or the most qualified will be hired at the end of the day. Then also, if there are certificates of any certificate that is relevant to your current application, you need to also provide them. You need to make them available, all right? So then how do you apply? How do we apply? So I've started mentioning some of the things we have on this slide. I mentioned that the first thing will be to identify a development team that aligns with either your research interests or your intended course of study, all right? That aligns with your research interests or intended course of study. Then the next thing you need to do is to read every detail on the CSC and individual university website regarding your intended course. So I will explain further how the scholarship works. I know I've discussed that the university and Commonwealth Commission share the burden of funding your studies in the UK. All right. But I'll go deeper when we enter the next slide so that we'll get an understanding, because I mentioned that, okay, you need to identify a development team that aligns with either your research interests or your intended course of study. So Commonwealth Shared Scholarship also gives you an opportunity to apply for multiple courses in different universities, so far they align with your research interests or your intended course of study. I will also explain how this works and when we talk about course selection, all right? So you need to read every detail. So read every detail. So this scholarship application, you need to be very thorough. You need to read every detail. You need to have all the information, all right? You need to do your due diligence, very important. Then you need to prepare all the relevant documents and have them ready. So like I mentioned, it's a long-term game. If I want to apply for this scholarship in 2025, I'll start now to start gathering my documents, all right? So you don't hear that the Commonwealth Scholarship is just started today and then you rush and go and apply. Why? Because there might be some documents you don't have ready. There might be some things you don't have, you don't have figured out. So that might be a challenge, all right? So when you prepare all these documents, you have them ready. I've mentioned the documents you need. Some of them, they are not exhaustive. So you can remember, when you read every detail on the CFC website and on the university website, then you will know the documents you need to provide. Then you carefully provide all the relevant details. So during the application process, there are different details that will be requested of you. So you need to provide them carefully, slide after slide after slide, slide after slide after slide. So you need to take your time and make sure. So the application is made in such a way that you can start your application today, and then you don't finish it. You can maybe do slide 1 today, and then come back to it the next 2 days. Come back. When you come back, just make sure you save for later. You can come back to it, and then you can amend. You can, you can keep improving on your application. You can write your essay. You can keep improving it. Most times, I think it's a 1 month period or more than 1 month. All right. You need this 1 month to figure out what's your development, to identify a development team, to ask questions. You can ask questions from professionals that are working in the field you're interested in, to have an idea. All right. So maybe when I'm done with the slides, I'll give a bit of a background of how my application went, so that you also understand from your perspective, because at some point I was just like each and every one of you listening to me now. All right. So you get an idea of what happens in the preparation phase and how I prepared, how I did the application, and how everything went. All right. So then you need to start your application. All right. And then bearing the deadline in mind. So you need to know the deadline, and you need to start working to meet the deadline, to submit before the deadline. So even on the application page, they will tell you that you need to try and submit before the actual deadline, because on the day of the deadline, a lot of people will want to submit. And while they are trying to submit, the network might hang, and then your own might be submitted after they pass the deadline. And you'll be like, oh, I've written all these essays for nothing. All right. So you need to bear the deadline in mind when you start your application, right? But you can do it piece by piece. You don't need to do everything on the same day. All right. So yeah, so that's it. So we now go to course selection. So this is where I will now explain in detail what happens when you open the Commonwealth website and you see some courses advertised. I think someone is asking a question. Is that a question? Yeah, so let's reserve the question, Danny Kings. Let's reserve the question for after the session, all right? So we'll be able to move through. I think we're almost there. We're almost there. Just exercise a little patience, all right? So yeah, so choice of a master's or PhD programs can be guided by your original course of study or your research interest. For instance, I'm a medical radiographer. So I want to do a master's that has underpinnings of medical imaging, all right? So when I'm going through the Commonwealth website, I'm looking for any courses that has medical imaging on it, or radiology, or anything related to medical imaging, all right? So another thing is, you can also have a research interest, even as a medical radiographer. As a medical radiographer, you might be interested in research, in core research, all right? As a medical radiographer, you might be interested in AI, for example, machine learning, for example. As a medical radiographer, you can be interested in data science, for example. You can be interested in public health, for example. You can be interested in cancer therapy, for example. You can be interested in a whole lot of things. You can be interested in the health policy, for example. So these are different interests, all right? And there are different programs, that capture this interest, that are not necessarily, even though you have a background in medical imaging, even though you're a diagnostic radiographer, you're a sonographer, you can still be awarded this scholarship, all right? Be awarded this scholarship. Although you have more chances when you're applying for something in your field, all right? You have more chances when you're applying for something in your field. But yes, who says you can't apply for opportunities in public health? So you can. So the most important thing is that is why I stressed on identifying the development team. You need to identify a development team. Then when you identify a development team, I'll be like, okay, does this align with my original course of study, with my background? Or does this align with my research interest? Okay, it aligns with my research interest. That's nice. So how do I proceed from here? Even though I'm a radiographer, I want to apply for public health. I want to do my MSc in public health. How do I apply? The problem is that I know the desire of every radiography student who wants to do his master's is to do his master's in radiology or medical imaging or something related, all right? But if you check very well, you see that some of these other courses, they also somehow, they have prospects for the future. They have prospects for the future. Because when you graduate, when I was a fresh graduate, I literally didn't know what I wanted to do. I literally didn't know I would get a master's scholarship. I literally didn't know I'll be in the UK. I wasn't even thinking about that, yes. But with time, you start developing new interests. You start meeting new people. You start interacting with people. You start seeing, oh, there are endless opportunities. Even though I've done this, I can progress and do this. I can progress and do that. I can be doing this and be doing that. All right. And all these things they make me a complete professional. All right. So why I'm saying this is that this year there was no opportunity for the course I did during my scholarship for medical imaging with management from Bournemouth University. So I need to explain how it works. Remember I said that the Commonwealth Shared Commission shares the burden with the university. So how the universities, all the universities you see that come up on the website. So I'm saying this as someone that has had that opportunity to interact with some of the people that make these recommendations to Commonwealth, all right? So the universities, they undergo a bidding process, all right? So different universities in the UK, both in Scotland and Northern Ireland, so both in Scotland and Northern Ireland, so they submit a bidding for one or two programs that align with different development teams, all right? Different development teams. They make a case for those courses, suggesting that these courses meet this are requirement, this requirement. I think if we get master students on this program from developing nations, we'll be able to impact them, to be able to build capacity back home, to be able to do this and that, all right? So when they submit those biddings, they go through a bidding process, and the successful universities, all right, emerge. So sometimes, not just successful universities, or maybe some universities that submitted their bidding for the coming year. So during our time, our university submitted bidding. Then during the next set, so our program administrator was so busy, he couldn't submit bidding for the next set. So that was why there was no advert for medical imaging with management. And I think that was what happened. This is what happened this time around. So different universities submit bidding, and after the bidding process, successful universities and successful programs will be enlisted so that students can apply, so that the university can review the application. And then I hope we're following the discussion. So these are step-by-step process of how it happens. All right. So when you now apply, then all your documents will be reviewed by the university. Then the university will make their recommendations. For example, the last time my set was the first time my university applied, and I was selected. Another student from Ghana was selected, and another student from Pakistan. Remember, I told you that this application is for 44 Commonwealth countries, all right? So just imagine 44 Commonwealth countries, a lot of people are applying. So the last, after our set, the next time our university bidded, I think about 100 plus students applied, all right? So from this 100 plus students, our course administrator and then the administrator of another program that falls under one of the development team that also was submitted for the bidding, they had to review some of the application, not all of them, all right? Some of the application, just follow this discussion, some of the application, and then the successful candidates were recommended, and they won this award, and they started their studies, all right? So that is what happened. So now, different universities in the UK, remember I told you that the university needs to agree that we can cover the feeding cost, we can cover the living cost of this student, send them to us, all right? So when they send them, the university takes care of the. So if you come to the UK, there are different universities, and the different universities have different capacities, all right? There are some universities that are many years old, that have strong alumni body, and have strong, they have strong fund, they have a large fund. They can manage to take up to 15 scholars, both in masters and Commonwealth, both in masters and PhD, and they're able to provide their living costs, all right? While some universities, they are not able to provide funding cost for this, for let's say, maybe they're able to provide for just 3. So my university was able to provide for just 3, and they take just 3 every year, all right? So some universities, like University of Bristol, they take up to 15 scholars. They have more than 15 scholars. Because when we're doing some engagement during the program, Bristol will always, if we have any competition or anything that requires voting, Bristol will always win because they have the numbers. And it was easy for them to reach out to their colleagues and convince them, all right? So this is how it works. So I'm trying to give you guys, it's an opportunity to give you guys a picture of what happens in the background. What happens in the background? So what happens in the background is that different universities, they will enlist different courses they do because they have the capacity to provide living costs to, let's say, 20 students. So if there's a program in that university and you're applying for that program, there are chances that you might get lucky. Your application might be successful because they have more opportunities. But if you're applying for a university that has only 2 space for 2 scholars, so even if they get 200 applications, they are limited to just 2. So they need to now start putting filters in the application to reduce it to just 2. All right. So this is where a lot of other things now come into place. Maybe your grade, the grade you graduated with, your experience, your interest, some of whether you've had research experience, So all those things will now they will start introducing some of those filters to reduce the number, because it's impossible to review, like, let's say 300 candidates when you are interested in just 3. All right. So it's not possible. So they might say, okay, people with first class, for example. So automatically you're removed. You won't even make it to the final selection. So the idea is, if you've identified a program that you like, or that aligns with your research interests, or maybe you have one that is related to your original course of study, and also other ones that are related to your research interests, you can apply for all of them. So what goes to University of Bristol, for example, the University College London doesn't say it. So those different applications will go to the different universities. So at the end of the day, if you are nominated for all of them, you're now allowed to choose which one you will go for. So there are people that apply, for example, someone that is interested in public health, for example. I've given an example here of 5 different universities that apply for that study public health. So you can apply for any of this university and you stand a chance. Maybe you are nominated in all 5 of them. Then you now start saying, okay, what are other criteria? Which one is a leading university? Which one is this? Which one is that? Where would I like to study? Maybe you have a relative in the UK that stays maybe in London. I think I can stay in London. Let me go for University College London. Or maybe when you read through the website for each of these schools, all right, when you read through the website, you can see something that they do in the school that interests you. You can say, okay, University of Southampton, they do global health, and they have an opportunity for you to maybe travel to Belgium or travel to other countries, which every student gets. I think I would like to do my master's in global health in University of Southampton. So, right, but this is when you are nominated. So, but the good thing about if you're applying for public health, for example, I'm not advising you to apply for public health. I'm just giving you an example. I'm just using this to tell a story. Because someone can say, oh, I wanted to do a master's in medical imaging, but there's no medical imaging in this year. The person might be interested in artificial intelligence. The person will give up and not apply. All right? So it's for you to know that it mustn't be that specific medical imaging. If you're interested, except you're adamant, you want to do it there. But if not, some of these other programs might have, have global opportunities, have opportunities in the future for you. All right? Opportunities in the future for you. So you need to keep an open mind while you go through this process. So also, another thing you need to note at this point of course selection is that, remember I mentioned that you need to go to the Commonwealth website and read every detail. So if, for example, I want to apply for public health and I plan to submit 5 applications, so what I will do is that I will read every detail about public health in University of Warwick. And this will guide me in writing my personal statement, in writing my application to the university, and even in writing because you apply to the university separately to gain admission. Then you apply for funding through Commonwealth. All right? So that is how it works. So you gain admission first, just like every other student starting school the next year. Let's say you want to start school 2025. So you apply, gain admission. When you gain this admission, then you apply for funding. So if you get the funding, then you can proceed to go to school. So it's possible you get the admission and you don't get the funding. All right? It's possible you get the admission and you don't get the funding. So for you to get the admission, you need to read every detail pertaining to that course. You need to provide all the information. You need to also provide all these details for both your school application and then the Commonwealth application. All right? So now, I'll have to do this. If I plan to apply to 5 of these universities, I'll do this for University of Warwick. I'll do this for University of Leeds. I'll do this for University of Nottingham. Although some of the things might be similar because, I mean, you've not changed. All right? You've not changed. It's still the same. You're applying for all these things. So when you are talking about yourself in your personal statement, you're still talking about yourself. When you want to start talking about your motivation as pertaining the course, public health, MPH in public health in University of Leeds, you have to tailor it to University of Leeds. So you can't be entering some of the things in University of Warwick in University of Leeds. So what I'm saying, you're not copying and pasting. All right? So it has to be tailor-made for, the application for Warwick needs to be tailor-made for Warwick. The one for Leeds needs to be tailor-made for Leeds. That for Nottingham, that for Southampton, that for University College London. So these are the things you will do, all right, during the application process. So I know it's looking tedious, but it's doable once you are determined, all right? It's doable once you're determined. So the essence of this meeting is not to discourage anyone, but rather to encourage you that these opportunities do exist. And you have a very good opportunity to hear this. During my time, I heard about it from a friend. I didn't hear it in a setting like this. How I wish there was a setting like this, you know, trying to guide people, trying to provide all this, put all this information out there, all right? So that's that for course selection. I know we might have some questions for this course selection, but I'm more than happy to answer them, all right? So then how do you prepare? So the scholarship program application is a rigorous process. And in many cases, it requires long-term preparation. So you need to start early, gather your documents, make up your mind, you know, prepare for your exams. If you want to write IELTS, you need to give time to prepare for them, save money, you know, you need to use your money as well, you know. So the entire process demands that you must be thorough. So you must be thorough. You must take your time, do your due diligence, put in the work, all right? And then you will get the required results. So for undergraduate students who wish to further their education with scholarship, they need to start early to develop the academic experience. So I use the academic experience now to as a broad term to cover a lot of things. Because when you start applying for scholarships, not just Commonwealth scholarship application, you might be tempted to ask yourself, what have I done to myself? Why have I wasted my 5 years in the university or 4 years in the university, like some of our friends in Ghana and I think Kenya? So what have I done with all these years? All right. Because they will be requesting for evidence, hard evidence of what you've done. How has your academic experience been? Not just that you had a first class, not just that you're the best graduating student in the whole university, but how has your academic experience been? You know, how has your academic experience? How has your leadership experience been? Leadership experience is one of the things. How has your volunteering experience been? How many things have you achieved, both as an individual and as a member of a team? So how has this shaped your entire academic experience? So, because when you are applying for this scholarship, they want to know who are you? They want to know what you've done. They want to know what you plan to do. So these are very relevant things they will be asking of you, all right? So for an undergraduate student, So I usually use this analogy of visiting the gym, all right? Visiting the gym. So when you start school, your first year is just you're like a newbie in the gym. You know, those people that go to the mirror to snap pictures and maybe they lift few weights and they try to show small muscle, you know. You have a couple of A's in physics, have a couple of A's in biology. You feel you've arrived, all right? You enter second year. If you notice, when you enter second year, the weight starts getting heavier, all right? You need to read and understand anatomy. You need to read and understand biochemistry. You need to read and understand physiology. So at that point, one of our lecturers will say, is at that point they will start separating men from boys, all right? I'm not saying this to ridicule anyone. I'm just trying to give real life example, all right? So they start separating, you know, you see some of the people that had A's in physics, they're not having that A's in anatomy. They're not having that A's in physiology. You see some people maintain them, all right? Because maybe they've developed one or two principles that work for them. You know, people start doing a lot of things. So the weight keeps getting heavy. You enter third year, the weight keeps increasing, all right? You start your clinical courses. You start going for posting. You know, you enter fourth year, they expect you to interpret a radiograph. They expect you to, you know, position a patient and do a scan. They expect you to produce good images. They expect you to, you know. So that's why if you're in final year and you come for a Viva and they ask you some questions and you fail it, it's as if this guy has wasted his years. So if you were going to the gym, it's expected that the weight you were lifting in your first 2 months, you've added maybe extra 5 kgs. You're increasing the kgs, all right? You start lifting more weight. So this is exactly what happened. So you need to keep developing your academic experience. You need to be intentional about it. You have to be consciously doing that. And then you need to be able, you also need to document these evidences, all right? So that when you need them, you won't find it hard providing them, all right? So for graduates who may have missed that window as an undergraduate, so you need to adapt quickly and engage in activities that makes you a strong candidate for this scholarship application, all right? For me, I was a good student during my time. I tried my best. I had leadership experiences, but not like, you know, being in the SUG or being a departmental president or being a faculty president or being in any of the ESCOs. Yeah, but I had one or two leadership experience, all right? And I was able to do one or two little things. I won't say, from what I know now, if I have an opportunity to go back to school, I know I would have done more, knowing what I know now. So for graduates who may have missed that opportunity, who are like me, who when they graduated, they didn't even understand a thing. I mean, they understood a thing about research, but they did their research themselves, but they are not like, in quotes, they are not like, they didn't like understand the full concept of research. They didn't like do more volunteer. They don't have a very solid volunteer experience, no exceptional leadership experience. What you need to do is to adapt quickly, all right? So when I tell my story at the end of the slides, I'll mention some of the things I was able to do that improved my application, all right? So to engage in activities that makes them a strong candidate. So another thing you need to know is that you require more than an excellent CGPA to be awarded a CSC scholarship. However, it can be a great advantage, all right? So if you have an excellent CGPA, it's a great addition, it's a great advantage, but you need to know how to use it. You need to know how to use it, all right? It's just like someone who goes fishing and doesn't have the right equipment, all right? So you have a boat, but you don't have the experience of throwing your net to catch fish, all right? So it becomes a problem. Although it's an advantage you have the boat, but you don't know how to, you don't have any experience of how to catch fish. All right. So your first class, your 5.0 over 5.0, your 4.0 over 4.0 for our colleagues in Ghana and other countries that do the 4.0 scale, it's exceptional, right? But you need more than that, all right? You need more than that. You need to know how to tell your story, narrate your journey. Like I said, you need to tell them who you are. You need to tell them what you've done. You need to tell them what you're doing currently and what you hope to achieve, if you're given this scholarship, because it's a development-based scholarship. So they are giving it to people that have demonstrated that they can be trained. They can be trained to achieve some of these development goals. All right? They can be trained to achieve some of these development goals. So some of the tips, very important tips I will drop at this point is that you need to start early to prepare. I've given the tip before I even got to this slide. You need to start early to prepare. It's a long-term game. And for someone like me, I like preparing ahead of time. I don't like to be taken unawares. You need to start early to prepare yourself. You need to bring your unique academic experience, research and leadership experience, and aspirations to your application. You need to passionately bring it to your application. So another misconception people have is that you must have a research publication before you get a Commonwealth scholarship. This is not true. Many people I know never had any research experience. At best, they managed to do their research in school and finished it when they finished it. And that's that. No publication. There was no discussion about publication. And they moved on with their lives. All right. But yes, even at that, without any research publication, you can still get, because there are a lot of things that make up your academic experience. All right. How passionate are you about learning? What activities have you engaged in that encourages learning? You know, what have you done so far? All right. So these are some of the things they want to see in your application. So you need to bring it into your application. They need to read it. They need to be convinced. So you're trying to convince them, all right, that I'm the right person for this scholarship. All right. So that's how it works. You're just trying to convince them that I'm not just qualified. Maybe I don't have a first class. I have a 2-1, but I have a solid academic experience. I've done this, I've done that. Or even after I've graduated, I've done this, I've done that. I'm currently doing this. I hope to do this. All right. So these are some of the things you need to bring into your application. Can we still hear me all right?
Yes, we can. We can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So let's just fire down and then round off. I don't know how long I've been speaking. Like I said, I talk a lot. I'm just trying to be moderate. So, but yes, I'm trying to stress what I feel is important that you need to know. Remember, I said that I will try my best to describe everything you need to know about Commonwealth Shared Scholarship in great detail, all right? I don't know if I'm doing justice to that, but yeah, I will try my best, okay? And then take questions at the end of the day. So another tip you need to know is that I mentioned it, you need to identify a problem that is related to your interest or your course of study, all right? Your intended course of study. You need to identify a problem. Then you need to make sure you do your due diligence. You need to research extensively. So when I narrate my story, I'll tell you some of the things I did during my own application and how it helps me get the scholarship, all right? So you need to search for resources that can support your application, all right? Search for resources that can support you in submitting a strong CSE application. Example, if you go to YouTube, there are countless pages that have discussed Commonwealth scholarship application in great detail, all right? So you need to source for this. You need to sit down. You need to download them. You need to watch them over and over again, all right? Yeah. So another thing is that mentorship is highly recommended. So there's nothing like mentorship. So you need mentorship in anything you're doing. As if you want to progress in your career, if you want to progress fast, you need to, I'm not saying you should disturb anyone. I'm just saying you need to find a mentor or find mentors. You need to have senior friends that might not be your mentor, but there are some people you pass some of the things, you discuss some of the things you want to do with. All right. So if you're applying for this application, because everything we are discussing, of course, is related to this application, you need a mentor. All right. You need a mentor that you can engage with. There's nothing so special. All right. Someone you can say, oh, I plan to apply for this Commonwealth scholarship application, Commonwealth scholarship this year. I've done this, this, and this. Is there anything you think I should provide? Is there anything you think I should do? Okay. I say, boss, the application has started though. See what I've done. Please, can you just have a look when you have chance? Because people are busy. Not that they are forming busy, but people are busy. People are busy with their lives. People go through a lot on their own. So if you have anybody that makes out time to listen to you, even if it's just for a minute or 2 minutes, because if you are in such position, you might also find yourself doing the same thing. Because I know when I was applying for my scholarship, I know a lot of people I reached out to. I know how they responded. I know the time they gave me. I know how I valued it. I know also how another thing is mentorship. Why, if you're also going for mentorship, you also need to be humble. You also need to be, you also need to come to mentorship with a good attitude. Because as you're trying to be someone's mentee, the person is also trying to be your mentee. There's this thing they call reverse mentorship, all right? So the person is also learning something from you. As a person, sometimes you try to explain, I don't know if you've noticed, you try to explain something to people, and then you get a new understanding of that stuff. Or the person can even directly teach you something you don't know, all right? So mentorship is good, both for someone that is here and for someone that is trying to apply for scholarship, something like that. So you need mentorship. You need to be humble. You need to be transparent. You just need to be yourself. You need to be open. You just need to be natural. Come as natural as you can come. All right. Then you need to be authentic. So in your application, you need to be as authentic as possible. All right. You need to be as authentic as possible. So in these days of AI, a lot of things are done with a lot of sites. All right. You can generate a personal statement in a matter of a click of button. Once you have the necessary keywords, you can engage different AI platforms and get whatever you want in written. Yeah, but you need to be authentic. It needs to be a reflection of you. You can use AI to support your productivity, but you need to be as authentic as possible. All right? Because there've been some cases where people got scholarship. My friend was sharing with me the other day, someone won a scholarship in a university in the US. Person got to the university and they found out that some of the documents he submitted were falsified. How do you do that? So the person was not only expelled, I think the person was banned from coming to the US or something. So some of these things can have their consequences. And also now, you know that there are some AI written items that someone can read and the person will be able to spot. They can put it in some softwares and they can see, oh, this is 90%, even if it's not 90%. So you need to be careful. You need to be original. Even if it's not written by AI, they can say the machine can turn it up as AI. But when you're authentic, when you wrote it yourself, you have someone help you look at some angles that you've missed, provide some fresh insights, that you can, include in your application and then have a strong application. So you need to be authentic. That's very important. You need to be very authentic in your application. So yeah, so after that, then we'll look at the benefits. What are the benefits? Like I mentioned, it's a fully funded study opportunity. It doesn't get better than this. Fully funded. They book your flights, both for you to go and for you to come back when you're done with your studies. They book your flights, they provide your stipends on time, they pay you just like they pay every other person in the UK. You get your stipends when others get their salary. You live your life generally, you know. So it's an opportunity to study in a world-class university, learning environment with all the access to global resources in your field for free. All right. So one of the problems I had as a student, that I can say was different for me when I came to Commonwealth University is a different ball game. All right. It's a different ball game. So beginning at the start of the courses, at the beginning of your program, every lecturer is obliged to provide all the resources they will use for the semester, upload all of them on the virtual learning environment. So you have access to them before you have the lectures. Also, additional resources that you can read, they are all accessible to you just by logging into your virtual learning environment. The library is accessible to you. A lot of support is accessible to you in the library, because there's a lot of writing challenges that people that studied maybe in Africa come and face, all right? Everybody struggles with that, all right? So you need to, they provide it for you, and you have access, you have every right a paying student have, all right? Access to all the resources. Nobody asks you to pay your school fees, or you don't really need to think about job work, except if you want to. But yeah, you just live a chilled life, do your studies, have a nice time, you know, have access to every resource you need. If you want to read anything from any university in the world, the library can even give you, you can even tell the library, let's say you're doing a research and you're looking for an article, you've not found it, you can approach the library and say, oh, I'm looking for this article. The library can help you get them. If they are not open access journal, they can help you get them. If they are open access journal, they can give you the login that you need to access them. You can get it right in your email, and then you access them, you do your assignment, and that's it. All right? So it's an amazing learning environment to do your master's, and everything comes free. All right? So another thing is, it provides you with global networking opportunity, all right? It provides you with an opportunity. It's an opportunity that provides you with more opportunities, all right? Provides you with more opportunities. So you tend to understand that it's an amazing change of scenery, all right? It provides you access to like-minded individuals. So you see a lot of people that are in your field doing one or two amazing stuff, all right? That's, of course, that will potentially benefit you, all right, if you engage them. So you meet a lot of individuals, you have access to attend the World Adventure, you attend a lot of, you can attend any conference you want, all right? You can attend any conference you want. You meet a lot of people during the course of the program. These are just few of the benefits. Of course, they're enormous, but these are just few of the benefits. I try to summarize them under this three subheading. So you get global access to opportunities relevant in the field of medical imaging. You get opportunities to join different professional bodies, to attend seminars, and also to build capacities. So the training in the UK is very engaging, all right? It's very engaging. So some of the modules that you'll be doing will help you. Maybe if you're not very good in doing presentations, all right, it trains you in doing all these presentations, you know, and then it prepares you for the future, really. It prepares you for the future, really, because, I mean, there are many opportunities in the field of medical imaging that are not even untapped, all right? But you won't see that from the comfort of your home. You need to come out there and see what people are doing and hear what people are doing, all right? So you tend to gain all this knowledge. So these are some of, so if you've been wondering, is it a worthy venture? Is it a worthy adventure? Should I waste my time applying for this scholarship? Should I write IELTS? Should I do this? Should I do that? From someone who has benefited from that opportunity, I will tell you, yes, it's a worthy adventure. It doesn't come better than this. I have a lot of friends that paid for their studies during my time. I know how they struggled. It was not easy. But for you, as you're just like, you are being catered for by the university and the Commonwealth scholarship body as well. So those are some of the benefits. And I think that is the end. Yeah, that is the end. So can I briefly tell my story, or should it will be brief, I promise you, or should we take the question, Sandra?
You can tell your story, then we take the questions afterwards.
Okay. Thank you, Sandra. So yeah, so my application started when I was doing my internship. So like I said, I trained in Nigeria. So after the 5-year studies, we usually go for internship. We apply for internship and get internship, and then do internship for 1 year before you're licensed to practice as a full-fledged professional radiographer. So I heard about the scholarship when after our induction, from a friend who studied physiotherapy. He just called to congratulate me, and then now told me, oh, that it's this opportunity, Commonwealth scholarship, that he applied for it and he got it, and he was doing the distance learning in University of Southampton. So, but then they had an opportunity of, when they are done with their studies, they come to the UK to do their dissertation presentation. All right. So he told me it was amazing, and these were some of the things that he feels I'm qualified, I can apply for this scholarship and get it. So the next year, this was happening in 2020. That same year, I applied for the Commonwealth distance learning, and I applied for the Commonwealth shared as well. So I applied for the University of Birmingham. Yes, I think I applied for one cancer therapy program. So I was not successful at that time. So I was successful for the distance learning one, but because then I was not very serious with it, I was not checking my email to see that we're requested to send our admission letter to Commonwealth, for final confirmation. All right. So that was how I missed the opportunity. Then, after I missed the opportunity, I started engaging some of my friends. That my friend who told me about the Commonwealth, and another of my friend who got the distance learning, started engaging him. I was telling him that, oh, I need to improve my application. I need to submit a stronger application, because it was clear that having maybe a first class doesn't guarantee that you will get the scholarship. You probably need other things to beef your application. So yes, they shared some ideas, which I implemented them. So one said, if I have any lecturer that's actively researching, I can approach them and tell them, see my plans, see my career plans, and I would like to volunteer to train under you, to assist you with anything, any manner of work as it concerns maybe supervising students, doing their research, anything at all. I'm more than happy to volunteer. Full time, I can do it with my job. I'm not complaining. I got a laptop, and yes, I was like always on speed dial for that my lecturer. So that was how we started building trust, started building relationship, and he now recommended me to become one of the associate editors for the journal we have back home in Nigeria, the ARN Journal, Journal of Radiation, Radiology and Radiation Sciences. I became one of the associate editors. So what I do basically is just to, if when we get a submission, I can help review as one of the reviewers because they don't have many peer reviewers available. I can help review them. I make recommendations. And then sometimes I can be a correspondence person for the journal. They send emails directly to me, and then I communicate with him. And sometimes there are opportunities to attend webinars with other larger databases that manage journals for different bodies in Africa. So I attend virtually, I was just learning one or two. So when I was about to apply for my application, I've had some of these experiences and I was to put it in my application. Like I said, I didn't have my IELTS then. I just did the application without IELTS. All right. So, but when I was applying as well, what I did was to identify a problem, what I feel is a problem for medical imaging practice in Nigeria. And then the entirety of my essays, my personal statement, everything I was writing was geared towards finding solutions, that my training will help us find solutions to some of these challenges. All right. So that was basically the story I was telling. All right. So that was what I did. So another thing I did was that I also had to ask some questions. I have senior friends working in the UK already. I had to engage them. I had to ask them some of the questions. I had to to compare what medical imaging practice is in the UK and what it is like back home, just to have an overview so that when I write, I try to capture some of the things that needs to be developed in Nigeria. And that was what I did. I engaged a lot of people. I kept talking to people. So one thing I always do is I try to engage people that know, I think they know more than me, or that they are ahead of me in anything I want to venture into. I try to engage them extensively, of course, when they are available. Understand? So this was what I did. And then it helped me structure my essays. It helped me bring all these ideas into life. And yeah, by God's grace, I was shortlisted. So that was how I got my Commonwealth Shared Scholarship Award. All right. So I know this is possible for a lot of you. I believe I've been able to clear some misconceptions, and I've been able to answer a lot of questions, and I've been able to tell real life. It's not made up story. It's real life. I've tried to be as real and as exact as possible. So this was how I got my scholarship, and I know that many of you here can also get your own, will also be awarded the Commonwealth Short Scholarship or other scholarships, all right? Or other scholarships, all right? To study your dream course or to venture into any interest you have, all right? So at this juncture, at this point, I don't know if that's correct. I think I'm happy to take the questions. I've spoken for so long, and yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you
so I
so
can
much.
take the questions.
Yeah, that was really inspiring and insightful. So I will start with the questions in the
Thank you.
chat, and then anyone who has a question can then proceed to ask.
Yes.
So Anaya Stanley is asking, can I apply for more than one course or application?
Yeah, I think I've answered it. Yes, you can apply for more than one course. The application goes to the different universities. All right. The application goes to the different universities, and it's all good. All you need to do is to make sure that each application is tailored to that university. Each application is tailored to that university. So you have to put in the work. If you want to apply for more than one university and you've identified courses that align with your interests, please, you're free to apply. All right. You're free to, you're more than free to apply.
Okay. Someone was asking, I don't exactly understand the eligibility. The first degree must not be first class.
Sorry?
Someone is asking on the eligibility part, is the first degree necessarily a first class or it is not a first? What does first degree mean?
No, I read out the eligibility. So you don't need to have a first class, all right? I have a lot of friends from my cohorts that were not first class students, all right? They were not first class students. They were maybe 2-1, some were even 2-2, but they've done a lot of things in their field of interest. So if you've done a lot of work in your field of interest, I mean, you're more than good to go. All right, you're more than good to go. So you don't need a first class. If you have a first class, it's an advantage. Just like I said, there's a selection process. So when a lot of people apply, so if there's a lot of application, the lecturers are very busy. They can't go through all the applications, all right? So they introduce some filters to make it easier for them to review. So this is where some people might not make it, all right? But sometimes, like if it's a university that has, a lot of funding opportunities and the course you're applying for, there's not much competition. You might be lucky, yeah? You might be lucky and you can get nominated, right? You might be lucky and you might get nominated. So that's the thing. So if you can apply for more courses, you're free to just send it and it goes to the different universities.
Okay, thank you for that. Another question on English proficiency. They're asking, did you do IELTS or did you do something else?
Yeah, I did IELTS. I think you can also do TOEFL as well. You can also do TOEFL as well. So I did IELTS. I know some countries don't need to provide all this, provide English qualification, but I know Ghana, I know Nigeria. I don't know if we have other countries here, but I know some of the countries that fall under this, some of the Commonwealth nations need to provide IELTS. So it's better you have them, and it's better you have them and don't, when they request for them and you are looking for an escape route. So your proof of English proficiency, I'm very sorry, it doesn't fully suffice. Yeah, it doesn't fully suffice in this case. Sometimes it can fly. I have a friend who got admission when we're applying, and they just asked for her WAEC results, her WASE result, and that was all she submitted, and they were happy. She had a B3, I think. She had a B3 in her WASE, and that was good. So, but most times it's better you have it. So, like I said, it's a long-term preparation. You prepare ahead and have all those documents ready. Yeah.
Thank you for that, sir. That also answers Danny King's question. He was asking, can we use proof of English our university offers, like the letter the university offers, as proof of English proficiency?
Yeah. It's the same question. I just answered it.
Yeah, and Aliyu is asking, are there any disease conditions that can stop one from getting a scholarship or visa to the UK?
No. I don't think so. I don't think. Once you're fit and you can engage with your study, you understand? So there's a provision there's no discrimination in the whole process. Yeah, that's what we're meant to understand. So there's no discrimination. We had somebody in our cohort that was crippled. All right, was crippled, but it doesn't affect his studies. He comes for his lectures, and they are more than happy to provide any assistance you need, any assistance from when you're coming from your country to even the accommodation you will stay in. So once you've told them beforehand that, okay, these are some of the provisions I need. This is the disability I have, and these are some of the provisions. They are more than happy to support you. All right, they are more than happy to support you.
Okay, thank you for that. Benjamin was also asking, do you have to work after undergraduate for some time before you apply for the scholarship?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to for the Commonwealth shared scholarship. You don't really have to. All right. You don't really have to. You only have to if maybe you need it to boost your chances. All right. If you need it to boost your chances. But yeah, so even if you're just coming out from school and you can provide your certificate, you can apply. You can apply. I mean, it's even good you apply, even if you're not shortlisted, at least you have a feel of what the application is like. So that when next you come, when next you apply, you increase your chances of putting up a better application. You know, repetition can also improve your chances as well. All right. So that's it. So if you're just fresh out of uni, you can apply. Once you can provide all the documents they need, I mean, you're more than welcome to apply.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ernest was also asking, how do we know when to apply for these scholarships? Do they have social media handles? Where can one be notified that their application is ongoing?
Yes, I think the Commonwealth has social media handles, all right? So, and also on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is also a very good place to see all these opportunities, not just Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. I mean, opportunities are not they are not enormous for our field like that, all right? But there are some opportunities that might have some medical imaging underpinnings, all right? Have very strong medical imaging background. There are even some medical imaging programs that are done by people that don't have any radiology background, all right? So, for example, I've seen a program in university in the US that it's pure medical imaging. It's pure medical imaging. They are just doing molecular image. It's molecular imaging, but they are using MRI scanners, they are using CT scanners to image rats, all right? And their findings from these studies, they are published, and then they use them in real life scenarios in the clinic, all right? So they are fully medical imaging courses that if you have a strong medical imaging background, you can have a shot at it, all right? So, but the opportunities are not many, but the opportunities are there. You just have to, on LinkedIn, I think they have a handle, definitely, and on Twitter as well. All right. And once you are paying attention, you will see some of this scholarship. And there's a season when Commonwealth Shared usually start. I think it starts November. All right. Commonwealth Master starts earlier. Starts around September, October, I think. And then Commonwealth Shared starts around November and then ends December. So yeah, I think Commonwealth Shared is currently ongoing.
Okay, thank you. Another one is asking, if you take a scholarship entirely a different pathway from what you studied in your undergraduate, must you find a way to link it up with what you studied initially? For example, if you did radiography in undergraduate and then
Yes.
you are doing, like, let's say something in public health or in AI, must you find a
Yeah.
way to link it to the radiography
Yes.
you did?
Yes. It's possible. It's possible. Just like my program. When we started the program, we had people from different backgrounds. We had people from biomedical engineering. We had people that did microbiology. We had medical doctors. We had sonographers. We had a lot of people, all right? So for some of them, maybe their dissertation might be focused on something related to their background, all right? So that tomorrow you can say, okay, I have this paper published on how maybe access to public health, access to maybe one or two medical imaging services in one country in Africa. And that was your project, all right? So somehow you've indirectly linked it to what you were doing. And like I said, when I mentioned that, I said that some of these programs, they are they have prospects for the future. So you never can tell. I'm not suggesting you should apply. I'm just saying you shouldn't give up hope entirely, all right? So if you have any interest, anything that fascinates you, and you see it on the Commonwealth website, and you feel you can apply for it, I mean, you can give it a shot. When you've gone to the university website and read their requirement and see that you qualify to gain an admission into that program, you can go for it. And yeah, if it's possible, you can get it.
Okay, thank you. One last question from Mr. Chuku Kelu is asking, at what point can one start applying for the scholarship? Is it after getting admission by the university?
So yes, so that, I mentioned that you need to read everything on the website, on the CSC website. So different universities, remember I said the universities make the nominations. So different universities have different rules. So some of them will say, okay, you can do the application concurrently with your Commonwealth scholarship application. You can run both of them together. Some will say, okay, when we nominate you, you can then apply to us. Like my friend that got admission in Strathclyde University, one of the provision was, when we nominate you, then you can now apply to us, all right? So, but for some universities, you apply simultaneously, all right? So that's why you need to pay attention to details. You need to be thorough. You need to read everything about it and then be sure of what you're doing.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much. That was the last question.
Okay.
Danny King, I believe you've answered Danny King's question in that the letter for English proficiency is enough, but he still has to get the IELTS just in case. I believe that is what you've said.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he said he didn't
thank you
get
so
that.
much.
I think he just asked that question. So
He's saying his network had an issue, but I believe he has gotten the
Danny
explanation right.
King, did you get the explanation?
Danny King, can you unmute and he
So
still needs more clarification.
so let me just explain, because I have another thing to do by 9, I think. Yeah. So Danny King asks, explanation for the proof of English provided by my university, my network. Okay. Yes. So I'm not saying the proof of English provided for your university is bad or is not good, but I'm just saying that some universities don't recognize it. All right. Some universities don't recognize it. Some, not just universities, some jobs don't recognize it no more. All right. So, I mean, if you can, just write an IELTS, prepare for it, write it, have the result, and then you can apply. If you can. All right. If you can. So, but it's important. It's one of the requirements. So it's better you have it. It's better you have it if you can. So, because the idea is to submit a strong application. And as you can tell from the discussion so far, a lot of people are applying. A lot of people are looking for what you're looking for. So you're not just the only one. So don't stay in your corner and think, oh, I might be the only one applying. No. A lot of people all over the world, 44 countries, a lot of people are applying. So you need a strong application if you're interested in gaining the scholarship. Yeah. So Chisom asks, can you do a different scholarship after finishing one? Yeah, why not? Once you meet the eligibility criteria for the other scholarship. For some of the scholarship, they will tell you, okay, you must be in your home country. You must, like you heard me talk about the eligibility criteria for Commonwealth Share Scholarship. So, I mean, if you meet the requirements, you can. But for Commonwealth Share Scholarship, the duration is 12 months, right? The duration is 12 months. So when you finish it, that's what they are funding. The business, you sign your contract. They will pay you for 12 months. After the 12 months, anything you're now doing, you're on your own. You're funding yourself, you are sustaining yourself. No money is coming. You know, there'll be a time when it's like Nigerians will relate to the Alawi they pay us during service call. It's like the Alawi they pay. So at some point you look for the Alawi money, you won't see. So yeah, it's for a period of time. And after that, if you're able to secure another one, fine, you can carry on. Do we need it, Tanisha? Yes, I mentioned all this. So they will share the slides and you see all the documents you require.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Uchendu, for the presentation. I would invite Mr. Chijioke to give the closing remarks. Chijioke, kindly unmute.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, you can hear
Yeah.
you.
So first off, I want to thank our speaker, Mr. Chukwanugo Uchendu, for making out time despite his busy schedules. I mean, it was not easy to gather all these speakers together. We had to schedule and reschedule because of different time zones and all. I want to thank him personally for giving us a tip from his insights. Like I always tell people, and as he mentioned too, mentorship is everything. Me, I believe that the best teacher is even mentorship, not even experience, right? So I also want to thank each and every one of the participants for joining, and also to the moderator too. Yeah. And I also hope as the webinar does not end today, we still have a recipient of Erasmus Mundus coming in on Wednesday, and we still have a recipient of Chevening coming in on Friday. So we also hope that you engage as we engaged this one. And once the slides are sent, we will also forward it to the group. And we also kind of create a brief summary of the whole meeting too. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chukwanugo Uchendu. Thank you, Sandra Fawande, and yeah, have a good night.
Thank
Okay, that marks the end of our meeting. You can leave.
Sorry, there's a question that was asked. I'm seeing the question now. Can I? It's on the chat box. I don't know whether we saw it. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Is it about the
Yes.
leadership of volunteering?
No. It was
Yeah, so
also after
I
finishing your
mentioned,
course at the university, are you expected to return instantly? If yes, how do you elongate your stay in the UK after your course?
so yes, so like I said, the Commonwealth Share Scholarship is an opportunity that can give you other opportunities, all right? So you're expected to return. Like before you even start the program, they've booked this fund are very available for your return flights, all right? So you're expected when you're done with your program, you come back to Nigeria. So, but if you have another opportunity in the UK, you can now make your own private arrangement to come for that. Do you get? So people get PhD opportunities, people get work opportunities in and outside the UK. There are some of the members of my cohort that are in the US doing different things. There are people in different places. I think I have a friend, I have a close friend that is in Hong Kong as well, doing a PhD. So yes, so you're meant to come back. It's there, the fund is provided. But yeah, if you have other opportunities that keeps you in the UK, yeah, it's possible. So improving your leadership experience. So I told my own little story just to see how it inspires anyone. So, but there's no formula to it. There's no formula there. Just do what you can. from where you are at the moment, from your hospital. Don't hold back. Don't hide. If anything is happening within your space, try to engage, try to document it, try to, try to, it's very important. Try to, don't hide. You're a professional now. If you're a professional, if you're a student, if you're still a student, I believe this session will benefit you the most. At least you know what you should be working on, all right? But if you've already graduated, like I said in the slide, you need to learn to adapt quickly. You need to learn to adapt quickly because, it's a whole lot of work. It's a whole lot of work because most of us are coming from background that is not so solid. Yeah, it's not so solid. Some of us, I know how we did our research in school. I'm sorry to say, but I want to include it as part of this presentation. Some of us were even shying away from the research. Some of us were not even serious. Some of us, like me, I had a partner who never contributed. I always call him. I'll be the one to collect sample. I'll be the one to do the writing. I'll be the one. So as I was doing it, I was learning little by little, gaining one or two ideas of how actual research is done. All right. Some of us leave the university who cannot comfortably do a research. All right. And tomorrow you want to be a graduate student. How do you cope? So you need to learn to adapt quickly. Some of us don't even have very solid writing abilities. It's a continuous process. You need to keep improving them. You need to keep improving your writing skills, right? You need to keep improving these things, and you need to keep building yourself. So if you're still in the university, good one, you need to start working on these things. All right, you need to start working on this thing. You need to, when you're doing your final project, don't shy away. Don't shy away. Be part of it. Learn everything there is to be learned. Some of us can't even search properly, like search for a resource online. Some of us can't successfully search for a resource online. And this is the problem because, how do you want to do research when you don't even know where to search for? You don't even know how to search for. So these are some of the skills we also gain from studying in the UK because it's basic. There's no Ojoro, there's nobody, they are not writing any exam. There's nobody to look, to pass the responsibility to. Nobody is going to, if, for example, you land the scholarship tomorrow, you're going to do it yourself. You're going to do the studies. You're going to do the coursework yourself. All right? So you need to learn these things. So as you're in school now, engage with your research, engage with your supervisor. Although I know the environment you have back home is not as friendly, the supervisor might not even be available. But on your own, you can also train yourself. You can also try to learn one or two things, related to research. Why? Because you have this dream of studying with scholarship. All right? You want to do your master's abroad. So you need to learn these things. You need to start learning these things. So if you've graduated, you need to adapt quickly. You need to learn quickly. You need to engage with people that are ahead of you. I'm passionately saying this because I know this is one of the significant challenges we face. You see someone leave the university, the project the person did was done by someone or was done in conjunction with someone, or they were even in a group of 4. And the person doesn't even have an idea of how the whole work went, all right? So people even go for topics that are not challenging, all these things. So anything you don't learn today, tomorrow you might blame yourself for not learning it because tomorrow they might request that of you and you won't be able to provide it. So just because, I've watched the chart and most of you are still in school and some of you just graduated, some of you are already practicing. I believe we are all colleagues. So I'm just saying, if you can, just try to work on some of these things and try to adapt quickly if you can, so that you submit strong application, not just the Commonwealth shared application. There are a lot of applications. There are a lot of scholarship application. Like he said, there's Erasmus Mundus, there's Chevening as well. So there are opportunities in different countries, Australia, Canada. There are scholarship opportunities in different universities. I have a friend who I was helping. He got the Commonwealth Masters and then got another opportunity in Canada and then went for the one in Canada. So there are different universities with funding looking for students that are determined. All right. Once you can demonstrate that you're determined, you can gain any of this scholarship. And I mean, it will be good for your career at the end. All right. So that's it. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I was happy. I think it was a great session. Although I was the only one talking, I didn't get to hear the voice of other people except Sandra and Chijoke, but it's all good. I wish everyone the best, and as you keep making great choices, I believe you'll get the desired results. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you too, sir. Good night.